$4 billion stolen. The founder vanished mid-flight and was never seen again. That is not a hypothetical. That is what prosecutors say happened with OneCoin, a cryptocurrency sold to roughly 3.4 million people across the world, built on technology that, according to the Department of Justice, did not exist. And the woman at the center of it all, a woman who called herself the Cryptoqueen, stepped onto a plane one October morning and simply ceased to appear in public life. The FBI has been looking for her ever since. The question this video will answer is how she built it, how she sold it, and how she walked away. But to understand any of that, you have to go back to the beginning. Ruja Ignatova did not look like a con artist. That was the point. She held a doctorate from the University of Constance, earned in 2005. She held a master's degree from Oxford. She had worked at McKinsey. When she entered a room, she carried the kind of credentials that made people stop asking questions. And in the world of cryptocurrency, in 2014, when Bitcoin was still something most people found confusing, credentials were exactly what the market rewarded. OneCoin was founded that year in Sofia, Bulgaria, by Ignatova and her co-founder, Carl Sebastian Greenwood. The pitch was straightforward. Bitcoin had made early adopters wealthy. OneCoin was the next one. Get in now, and you would not miss it twice. The company marketed itself globally as a rival to Bitcoin, and it sold that promise through tiered educational packages. You bought a package. The package came with tokens. You used the tokens to mine OneCoins. The packages ranged from a few €100 to tens of thousands. The more you spent, the more coins you could accumulate. And if the coin's value kept rising, the maths looked extraordinary. The catch, which investors had no way of knowing at the time, was that the maths were entirely controlled by the people selling the packages. Because OneCoin had no real blockchain, a blockchain, to be plain about it, is a public, decentralized ledger. Every legitimate cryptocurrency transaction is recorded on it and verifiable by anyone. OneCoin's coins were not on any public blockchain. According to the DOJ's indictment in court filings, they were entries in a private, centrally controlled database, and the company itself set the coin's price. The price only ever went up because the company decided it would go up. There was no market. There was no external validation. There was no way for an investor to independently confirm that their coins represented anything at all. The value was whatever Ruja Ignatova said it was, and she said it loudly and in front of a great many people. On June 11, 2016, Ignatova walked onto the stage at Wembley Arena in London to a crowd of more than 5,000 people. She entered to Alicia Keys' Girl on Fire. She stood under the lights and told the crowd that OneCoin would overtake Bitcoin. The audience had paid to be there. They believed her. And the machine that was generating those believers was already running at enormous scale. So let's be clear on where we are. Ignatova and Greenwood have built a fake cryptocurrency and are selling it to millions of people around the world. The coin has no independent value. The price is set in-house. And the network distributing it is generating hundreds of millions of dollars. What happens in the next 12 months is what turns this from a regional scam into one of the largest fraud cases in history. The engine behind the sales was a global multi-level marketing network. Recruiters earned commissions for signing up new buyers. Those recruiters then recruited more recruiters. Carl Sebastian Greenwood, as the global master distributor, earned approximately 5% of monthly sales. By the end of 2016, according to prosecutors, his commissions had already exceeded $200 million. The money was moving fast, and it needed somewhere to go. A portion of it went through a lawyer named Mark Scott, a former partner at the law firm Locke Lord. According to his subsequent conviction in the Southern District of New York, Scott laundered approximately $400 million in OneCoin proceeds through a network of fabricated investment funds. He was not a peripheral figure. He was infrastructure, but every machine built on a false premise produces pressure, and by 2017, that pressure was building from multiple directions. Regulators in multiple countries were beginning to look at OneCoin. Financial authorities in Germany, Italy, and elsewhere had issued warnings. Journalists were asking harder questions about the blockchain that no one could seem to locate. Inside the organization, former employees and participants were starting to note things that did not add up. The coin's price moved on a schedule that bore no relationship to any external market. The educational packages were, in practice, the product, not the coin itself. And then, on October 12, 2017, a federal grand jury in the Southern District of New York filed a sealed indictment against Ignatova for wire fraud and money laundering conspiracy. It was sealed, meaning she should not have known about it, but investigators believe she was tipped off. That allegation has not been proven in court, but what happened next is documented fact. On October 25, 2017, Ruja Ignatova boarded a Ryanair flight from Sofia, Bulgaria to Athens, Greece. She has not been seen publicly since. With Ignatova gone, her brother Konstantin Ignatov stepped in to run what remained of OneCoin. He was arrested at Los Angeles International Airport in March of 2019 and subsequently pleaded guilty to fraud and money laundering. The sealed indictment against his sister was unsealed on March 7, 2019. A superseding indictment filed in February 2018 had added securities fraud charges. In November 2019, Mark Scott was convicted of laundering approximately $400 million in OneCoin proceeds. In June 2022, the FBI added Ruja Ignatova to its 10 most wanted fugitives list, a designation reserved for individuals considered among the most dangerous and significant fugitives in the world. A German Interpol red notice is also outstanding against her. On September 12, 2023, Carl Sebastian Greenwood was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison by Judge Edgardo Ramos in the Southern District of New York and ordered to forfeit approximately $300 million. The human cost sits behind those numbers. Up to 3.4 million investors, according to DOJ court filings, lost more than $4 billion in total. In April of 2026, the DOJ opened a victim compensation fund of $40 million. $40 million against more than $4 billion taken. As of the time this script was written, Ruja Ignatova remains at large. The FBI reward for information leading to her capture was increased to $5 million in June of 2024. She holds a doctorate. She held the stage at Wembley. She walked onto a plane with what prosecutors describe as billions of other people's money and disappeared into a world that has not produced her since. The lesson she leaves behind is not complicated. She succeeded for as long as she did because she looked like someone you would trust. The credentials were real. The events were real. The crowds were real. The coin was not. Now here is the question I want to leave with you. If you had been in that Wembley arena in 2016, standing in a crowd of 5,000 people watching someone with an Oxford degree and a McKinsey career promise you the next Bitcoin, would you have walked away? And if you were sitting on $4 billion right now with investigators closing in, where would you go and how long do you think you could stay hidden? Drop your answer in the comments. We read them. And if stories like this one are what you come here for, subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from.